everybody. My name is Maltanan, and today we'll be going through some expressions, mostly the linear slash is out, is in, or is expression. And that is based on some requests that I have gotten today. So, yeah, there you go. I'll be right back. We'll just waiting there till there's more of us watching the session because I don't like to be talking to myself all the time, even though I do love the sound of my own voice. There you go. So, yeah, I will be right back with you. So, until then, just stay on the channel. See ya in a bit. Hello, guys. I can see there is more and more of us. I just want to let you know that I am here. I will be with you shortly. Let's just wait for a couple more seconds for more people to join in on our immersive, exciting, expression-based session, so that we can, so that I can, excuse me, so that I can release the enormous amount of knowledge upon your heads. So, see you in a bit. my friends. I'm just letting you know that I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere, and we will start in like 2 minutes. 2 minutes or even less. 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute to get myself something to drink because I will be talking for a long time and I just want to be prepared. Okay, so with that in mind and with what's just on your screen, so that we are waiting for more people to watch the session, we will begin very, 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 very shortly. So, with that in mind, I leave you, and after I return, we will begin the teaching experience, if that's something that we can call it. So, yeah, see you in 60 seconds. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Maltanan, and we will begin our session right now. So let me just do a tiny bit of prep work here. I can see you are on my channel, which is always very pleasant and cool and everything. So, with that in mind, let me just switch to the broadcasting. And yes, if everything went well, you should be able to see my screen right now. And also, maybe even, probably, my face. So just let me know if you see that. I will look at the chat. I'm just gonna say hello. Are you still there? Because you've been waiting for a while. And with that, even though I'm not sure if you're there or not, I am going to start the presentation. I was asked today about something to do. Let me just go to the Facebook page that I run, one of which that I run, which is like a Polish After Effects group. It's called Adobe After Effects Poland. And someone asked about creating an animation. It was Michael. About creating an animation based on my previous tutorial on expressions, like general expression tutorials. How to position the dots and sort of fade them on and fade them off as you animate them. And of course he could use keyframes and like loop out expression or whatever, but he had the courage to do this the proper quote unquote way, by using expressions so that it would be totally automated. So that is what we're gonna do. Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody says that the quality is bad. I think bad, not bad. I'm sorry. It's probably something on your end because I'm on a high bandwidth connection right now and it should be crisp. Seriously, 4080p? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, I've been doing this for a while and I have it set up to broadcast 1080p and it just doesn't do it. I don't know why. Like, I don't know why, okay? You just have to live with it. But the cool thing is that I do have a cool zooming tool, so you will be able to see the details of what I do no matter what. Again, I'm sorry, unless somebody can tell me why that happens, I don't have the time or tenacity to figure it out. It just doesn't work the way it should. So yeah, let's just go ahead and start. It's so depressing that you only see 480p. Really, I'm sorry. So the idea is that we have an object, three-dimensional object, two-dimensional object, doesn't matter, and we have a position and orientation we want the object to end up at as the animation reaches its end or peak or end state, whatever you want to call it. And you want this transition from initial whatever state to end up, we want to sort of predefine it and then it sort of evolves into this final state. I don't want to control that with expressions and decide, okay, I want this animation to last 1 second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever. So that is something that we are going to do. But before we do that, we'll have to figure out what the linear expression is. This is just one of the methods to do this sort of thing. However, I find it to be probably the most convenient because of few advantages expressions and the linear expression especially gives us. So before we go any further, let's just do this simple example. I'm just gonna do like a handles on a clock. Okay, so handles on a clock go in a circle, so 360 degrees, but we think in 12 hours or 24 hours, right? So how do we do that? Well, let me just show you. I'm going to create a solid layer. Let's make it black so it's easier to see on 480p. Just kill me. Just kill me. 480p. Height, let's say 300 or something like that. Okay, so there's our layer. We can rotate it like so. But I am going to move the anchor point to the bottom. So I'm going to set it to 300, something like that. And that is more or less okay. Let's maybe make it a little bit smaller. Let's say 200 pixels. Okay, that's fine. By the way, we could do this on shape layers, but I just don't want to get into that. Okay, shape layers, masks, and things of that nature are evil. I will expand on that topic on a different occasion. Those of you who know me, you know I'm right, right? Right. So, let's just have that and just have it rotate, okay? But I want this to be set up in a way that I can put in an hour, like 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and I want the solid to rotate to the correct position. Okay, so of course I could take 360 degrees. That takes the handle to go in a full circle, and divide it by 24, and then take a factor from that, and then multiply whatever hour I want the arrow to be at by that factor to end up in the number of degrees that it needs to. Oh, too much. Okay, too much. So what we can do is we can use a linear expression. Linear is just a form of interpolation. And that is exactly what the expression is doing. So to explain what interpolation is, just in case somebody missed that in your maths class or whatever, let me just show you a very, very simple example. Okay, I'm going to do a 50 by 50 solid. I'm going to make it white. And we are going to turn the transparency off. And I am going to position it at, let's say, 50 pixels. And then I'm going to take 10 seconds, the entirety of this composition length, and I'm going to move it over here. So let's say 1,000. Okay. Now that's too long. Maybe let's take just 1 second. Okay, that's going to be better. We're going to take 1 second. And as you can see, we've got those little tiny dots in here, and these are where the mid transition positions of the solid will end up. Okay, so that is basically where the solid will end up as we move through time, and this is interpolation, and this interpolation is in particular is linear interpolation. So it means it just took the distance the solid needs to travel, it divided it it took the time it needs to travel, so 1 second, and it divided that 1 second by the distance it needs to travel, so in the end it knows how far it needs to travel on each frame. In my composition, which is 25 frames per second, one frame would be 0.04 seconds, okay? That doesn't really matter. That doesn't interest you. Now, take a look what will happen if I just easy ease those keyframes, okay? So I'm just going to select them, and I'm going to press F9. The amount of those dots that you see here is going to stay the same, but they will become more packed in one areas and more spread out in others. Okay, it's gonna be spread out in the middle, and it's gonna be packed tightly by the ends of the animation. So 3, 2, 1, F9, and there we go. So you can see that they are a little bit more tightly packed by each end of the travel path, and they are more spread out in the middle. You can also even improve upon that, or just expand the difference when you go into the graph editor and the speed graph. And I'm just gonna grab this for example, see it? You can clearly see that the amount of dots stays the same, but they just get tighter and tighter in one area and wider in another. So this is not a linear interpolation, but it is interpolation in its entirety. Okay, so it just takes a range of values, divides it by another value, and then you know how far or how much a given value has to increase to complete the journey, if that's what you want to call it, or if that's how you want to think about it. Okay, I hope that is clear, because without that, we can't really go into the linear expression. So I am assuming that is more or less clear. Okay, it's if anything, this is your favorite high school or primary school physics task. Okay, train A travels at a given speed to a location B, and then there's train B traveling at a given speed to a location A, and at what time and what place do they meet? Okay, that's sort of this thing. Okay, more or less. So just think about it. Let's just go back to our handle on a clock. Okay, on a clock face. So with that, and we have this set up like this. I'm just gonna show you. We can increase the rotation parameter on the layer, and it's just gonna go in circles. We are going to use the linear expression to figure out what the angle of rotation should be in order to point to a specific time. Okay, so this will be our I don't even know. I think we're gonna make this our handle. Okay, so this short, thick one. In order to have some parameter that we can put into, I always, no exceptions, create sliders or other expression controls. And what do you know? We have expression controls in our effects. So we are going to use a slider. So let's just do that and put it onto our layer. And we are going to call it hour. Okay. So just think about this. If we have 3.5 hours, how this should be positioned. Okay. If it's 3 hours, it should be 90 degrees. But then if it's 3.5, it should be like halfway through between 3 and 4. Correct? So like this, more or less. Okay. So we are going to do a mechanism to create that. So let's just alt-click on the rotation parameter, and we are going to start typing. So in order to be super obvious and very precise and elegant in my coding, I'm gonna do var, even though I personally hardly ever do that with few exceptions. Var means variable, and let's call this variable slider time, or actually slider hour, and this is going to be our slider. Okay, like this. And then we are going to say linear, and what do we want to interpolate? We want to interpolate the value that we have here, so slider hour, and next two parameters are the working range of this value, of this slider hour. Okay, so now depending on if you are 12-hour based or 24-hour based, those are the values that you put in. I'm gonna put 0 to 24, so 24-hour based clock, because that's where I'm located and that makes most sense to me. So let's say the starting range of this slider hour starts at 0 and it ends at 24. Okay, and that is the working area, working range of the slider hour that it is currently working in. And what I want to do is I want to convert it to another range. What is the other range? Well, it's from 0 to 360 because that is how many degrees are in the circle. But this will not work in its entirety. I'm going to show you why in a minute. So let's do this. And if everything works fine, if I put in like 3 over here, this should go right here, like 90 degrees, correct? Let's try it. 3. Whoops. What happened? Well, because I am working in a 24-hour clock, 24 hours are 2 full rotations, not just 1. So this should be not 360, but 720, because that is exactly what 360 times 2 is, okay? So if we do that, it should all work out just fine. Yashik is asking, shouldn't it be dependent on minute handle too? Well, yes, but I'm just, just showing the overall idea of interpolation and what linear expression is doing, okay? So we're not building a clock, really. We're just building an example to show off what it's doing, okay? Yashik is one of my online students, so he sort of knows this, but a good question. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Otherwise, I would miss it for anyone who haven't used this expression so far. So linear expression, very, very, very important. I'm pretty sure every one of you knows time multiplied by some number as a useful expression. Most of you know wiggle as a useful expression. Linear, you should add it to your list, even if you cannot produce or create very complex expressions. This is the one you should know, and we will show some other examples of it today. So with that in mind, let's try 6 hours. Okay, looks good. Let's try 12 hours. There you go. Let's try 13 hours or 1 o'clock, right? 13 and 1 should be exactly the same. Let's try it. 13 and 1. Perfect. So if we say 3.5 hours, not 35, dude, 3 and a half. Ah, there we go. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, just let me know in the comments right now on our live transmission, because I am about to move forward with this. And while you do that, I'm just gonna quickly check if there are any other comments or notifications or on other social media. So there we go. Okay. Oh, okay. A good question. I'd like to know what kind of background you must have to understand and be able to create your own expressions. That is from my Facebook profile, Facebook fan page comment. Really, expressions are just they are just JavaScript. There's really not much more to it. However, you can learn JavaScript or you can learn any sort of programming language. It doesn't have to be like pure, strict data typing programming language. Just the idea of having functions, returns, subroutines, data types, and things of that nature. Data types are probably even, way more than you need to understand, but it's a good habit to get into that. So I would say, yeah, just go to Oh, I forgot the name. Anyone can type in this free online programming websites out there. Code Academy. There you go. Yeah, just go to codeacademy.com and you'll get a free course in JavaScript, Python, doesn't really matter. As long as you get the idea of programming, you're good to go. However, expressions are based on JavaScript. So every JavaScript little thingy that you might find is gonna work or is gonna be relevant to expressions. Okay, Ruby, for example, or Python is not uh, in terms of like syntax and whatnot, but the general idea is the same for every programming language. I don't want to simplify things too much, but every programming language consists of the same things, like 5 or 6 things. There are variables, there are functions, there are loops, there are conditions like if, else, blah, blah, blah. There are data types, and that's pretty much it. Depends on how deep you want to go into it. So every programming language is based on the same things. JavaScript just happens to be the language that expressions are based on, but if you learn any other language, you will be able to understand and produce your own expressions. Hope that answers your question. And with that, I'm just going to see if you have any other questions on YouTube. No, you do not. Okay, great. That's either I'm explaining things wrong or you are a very receptive audience. Da, 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 da. Okay, so with that in mind, let me just go forward with the idea that was asked on the Facebook group that I run. So the question was, I have an object, let's say it's a cube, a box, more or less, three-dimensional box, and I want it to be animating. I don't really care how it's animating, it's just that it's spinning and moving and whatnot. And after a given amount of time, it ends up in a predefined position. How do I do that with expressions? Okay, that was the question. So this is what we are going to do right now. First of all, so that we have something to work with, we're gonna build a cube, and we're gonna build the perfect, most perfect cube, something that I called a unibox, because it's a uniform box. There we go. In dimensions of 100 by 100 by 100. There's a very good reason for it that I'm not going to get into right now, but if you've ever seen my tutorials online, you know that this technique is super powerful. If you have not, just go look for it, okay? So we're going to have a white solid, 100 by 100 pixels, and we are going to create a very simple box, a unibox for that matter. So I'm gonna click the 3D switch. I'm gonna go to the position parameter. I'm gonna say this goes to -50, duplicate it. This goes to +50, and then I'm gonna create a new one. I'm gonna click OK, and this one is gonna be rotated by 90 degrees in Y, and it's gonna go to the left. So 0, I'm gonna duplicate it, it's gonna go to the right, so 100. I'm gonna create a new one because I'm too lazy to re-rotate the ones that I just created, and I'm gonna create a click on the 3D box, and I'm gonna rotate it in the X by 90 degrees, and I'm gonna move it up, position up, and I'm gonna move the next duplicate down, and this should give me a perfect box. Let's just see. Dun 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 dun. Looks like a perfect box to me. Okay, very good. And by the way, I have a script to do that for you on aescripts.com. It's called Cuber, so go and find that one out. Let's call this uni box, and let's just create a new composition. That's gonna be, let's say, Paul D1 DV widescreen square pixels, and we are going to put the unibox in here. Click on the 3D switch, and of course collapse transformations, which should give us the 3D representation of the 3D object that we have just created, and that is exactly what we ended up with. So with that in mind, you know what, I'm just gonna add maybe a light. I don't know about you, but I hate working with lights in After Effects. I hate it with a passion, just as much as I hate working with cameras. Unless, of course, you are using my simple camera rig, that you can also find on AE scripts. But still, just no, okay? Just nope, a huge nope. So the thing I usually do when I want to light an object is I just parent the light to the object, holding the shift key, which should move the light inside of the object if it was created properly, and then I can just move it, let's say up, and let's say a little bit forward and a little bit to the left, and that just looks perfect. And I can leave the light here and have it move along with the object, or I can just unparent it and just leave the light there. Okay, and I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna leave the light there. I'm gonna go to the active camera, and let's just see how this unibox behaves when we rotate it. So I'm gonna grab my rotate tool, and I'm gonna just do this. Okay, that sort of seems fine. So let's just leave it like that. Let's just go to orientation parameters and just reset them. Let's just create this super cool expression using the linear expression, or actually even better, ease expression. So the idea is that we don't really care how the object animates, as long as it animates for a given amount of time and it ends up in a predefined position. This being the position that is predefined. Okay, this is our final position that we want the object to end up with, and let's say we wanted to start from like far behind, so like from this position, okay, like far away, something like that. So and you want to do that with expressions, of course. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into the expression controls, and I'm gonna add a 3D point control. Why? Because this will be my position offset. Okay, this will be the offset from the final position that I want the cube to end up on. Okay, so I just set it to 0, 0, 0 for now. I'm gonna do the same thing for the rotation, or should I say orientation of the cube. So orientation offset. Okay, and then I'm gonna just say a slider control to define how long I want the animation to last. So let's call this animation time in seconds. Okay, that's, by the way, a very good habit to just put like seconds or frames in parentheses, so you don't have to guess what sort of measurement you're using for your controllers. So with that in mind, let's just go ahead and click on the orientation parameter. Okay, so I'll click on the orientation, and I'm gonna say, since this is going to be animating, the only thing that is quote unquote animating in expressions is the time variable. Okay, so our expression has to be based on time somehow. Okay, one way or the other, it has to be based on time. So let's just type in linear, and what is the value that we want to remap? That's how we want to think about it. Okay, so that value is time, of course. Now we have to figure out what is the working range of this value. And for now, I'm going to do a simpler version of it. Then we're going to improve upon it, but just bear with me, okay? So the composition starts at 0 seconds, of course, but it ends up at this many seconds, okay? This many. So this slider. Okay, that's fine. So after that, what do we want it to do? We want this to go from our offset value, and what is our offset value? It's this orientation offset, right? And to what value we want it to go to, right? What is the final value? Well, that is the value. Dun dun dun. What is the value? Value, the keyword value is whatever you put in here. It's your keyframes, basically. Keyframes or no keyframes. It's the typed in manual value of the parameter. So with that, we should get no error, and we do not. That's cool. But nothing happens. Why nothing happens? Because the animation time is set to 0 seconds. So let's set it to, say, 3 seconds, and still nothing happens. Why? Because our orientation offset is 0, 0, 0, and the final position is also 0, 0, 0. So in other words, nothing happens. Okay, so let's just set it to, say, 90 and 90 and 90 degrees. Okay, so 90 degrees in every axis. So now, over the course of 3 seconds, it should just go back to its position. Very cool. Okay, that looks cool. Can we just do a little bit more with it? Yes, we can, but we'll leave that for later. So, what if I would move this Unibox layer a little bit further than it is right now? I'm gonna start it at 1 second. How does it look? Well, it's still ending its animation at 3 seconds. Same if I do it, if I start it at 2 seconds, right? So that's just not right. Okay, so what can we do about it? Well, instead of saying that our time variable starts at 0 seconds, we can say that it starts at the in point of the layer. So in other words, the point in time where the layer has its beginning. Okay, so that's that. And when do we want it to end? Well, from whenever the layer starts plus however long we want the animation to be. So in point plus those 3 seconds in our case. And that should be it. Let's just see it. It should look the same, and it does. However, if I move it to like 3 seconds over here, it should end up at 6 seconds. And that is it. Isn't that cool? Yes, it is. So from that, you can see that you don't really need to put like one-dimensional values into the linear expression. You can put a single multi-dimensional value. That's what I meant to say. So that's pretty cool in my book, if you ask me. So we can do the same with the position parameter. This should be pretty simple. So let's go linear, and we're gonna say, of course, time, which starts at the in point of the layer and ends at in point plus however long we want the animation to be. And then it goes from, oh, of course, it goes from whatever offset we have here to whatever we want to end up with, value. Okay, that should be it. So let's just push the offset very, very far away, but oh, what happened? This doesn't look good. And that is because these should be offsets. Okay, so offsets from our final position. So instead of saying on both those expressions, we want to start at a world value of this and world value of this. Oh, sorry, not orientation, but it should be position. My bad. Still, it's the same problem. Orientation is okay, and position. It's just gonna be faster like this. Position offset. There we go. Right? Starts from 0, 0, 0, and that is the world position of 0, 0, 0. In other words, left upper corner. But in our understanding, or at least in my understanding, it should be that there was no offset from the final position that we want to end up with. So it should take that into account. So in order to achieve that, we just need to say that we want it to be from whatever the position it is, so whatever the final position is, value plus whatever offset we want. Same over here, so value plus whatever offset we want. And now, as you can see, the cube stays in place, but I can say that I want it to start from, let's say, so many pixels away from its final position. And that should just rotate it correctly. And it does. Pretty cool. There's also few variants to the linear expression. You might have noticed that it is pretty blocky animation. It just goes and it just stops. Okay, so not very exciting. But what you can do is you can, instead of linear expression, use ease in, ease out, and easy ease. My favorite, of course, is easy ease because it's just 4 letters. Imagine ease, just like that. And this will give you the same curve over time, the same temporal interpolation as F9 gives you, basically. Ease. And with that, it should be way better. And yes, it is. So now is time for some questions. Com64able just said that knowledge is freaking overwhelming. Dude, we are just scratching the surface. I really hope that I will be able to do these sessions and figure out a way to broadcast them in full HD, not just 480p, because that just bugs me so much. I love to do these. I love to have input from you guys and just spread the love and knowledge as I used to and as I do. So just, yeah, be with me and I'll be with you, and we'll be doing those sessions often. So guys, are there any questions for this? Because I think that's pretty much it. There's not much to be said about this. It's just interpolation. Pretty simple interpolation. That is all that there is to it. We could do much more with the linear expression, but it's all based on the same principle. You just take one range of values and you transcribe it to another range of values. Just if anyone missed it, let me just open up Photoshop and I'm going to show you how I like to think about the linear expression, and that's going to be it for tonight, unless there's going to be a cool question. So let's just wait till the welcome screen comes on. Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry, that's not Adobe's fault. That's my Matrix fault. Ooh, Matrix. Because I got like this huge array of disks that I use to store my data. Okay, that's better. Uh, let's just start and let's just choose film and web. Okay, that's fine. And let's just do this and this and brush and okay, that's fine. So the way I like to think about it is that we have a line. Okay, you have a line of values that starts at some known value and ends at some known value. Let's say 100. Okay, and you are looking for some other value. Let's say the value you are looking for is 50, but you want to know what the proportion is. Really, that's what you are after. So if I would ask you, what equivalent of 50 would it be if this would be between 0 to 10? Okay, so we've got a range of 0 to 100 and you've got a number 50. What would number 50 be if the original range was not from 0 to 100 but from 0 to 10? Okay, you immediately know it's 5. Okay, it's just simple math, like the zeros cancel out, or you know that 50 is like halfway through between 0 and 100, so halfway through between 0 and 10 is 5, blah 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 blah. You can figure it out very easily. Okay, so the way that I think about it is that you have this other line here, sorry for my straight lines, that goes from 0 to 10, and what linear expression is doing is just drawing this line. Okay, this is linear, and it just looks where this thing landed, and it returns 5 in this case. Okay, if it's 0 to 100 versus 0 to 10, that is simple thing that you can do in your head, like totally intuitively. But if this would be minus, let's say 4037 to 3109, this wouldn't be so easy. Okay, and this is what linear expression does for you. It still looks at 50, just draws this line and returns whatever result you are after. So think about it whenever you want to take like create a relationship between values. Like you've got, like, let's say you've got a knob, right? Like on a radio or something, and the knob goes from 0 degrees, really, to let's say 180 degrees, and you want it to go from 0% volume to 100% volume, right? This is where you would use like linear expression. Like if that doesn't, if this doesn't get to you, well, I don't know what will. Please ask me some questions on on YouTube, and can you? Okay, good questions, good questions. Got some questions, yay! Can I turn it into keyframes so I have more control over easing? Um, Yes, you can. You can always use, you can select the parameter and go to animation, keyframe assistant, convert expression to keyframes. But that is a very, very wrong way to go, because you will end up with these many keyframes, okay? That just sucks. Uh, there are other things that you can try, like having some of those parameters in here not be parameters per se, like typed in, but actual sliders or other stuff, and you would use linear expression instead of easy ease, and you would use graph editor on those keyframes to provide the values for the linear expression. That's one of the ways to do it. or you can write your own easing expression, which is always a pain. You want to try to avoid it as much as you can. Although, if you really want to be efficient at expressions, you should have at least tried and succeeded once in writing your own easing expressions, because you can do whatever curves you like. Like seriously, whatever easing curves. You can even have a curve in a shape like you've got. This is linear curve, right? You can have like this or this, or this is easy ease, this S-shaped curve. But you can even have a curve in the shape of a duck if you wish, or whatever other shape. And just to prove it to you, I hope this will rock your socks off. If you are a coding, expression, scripting, automation junkie like I am, this will rock your socks off. Where do I have it? Oh, this is it. Oh, really? Okay, let's just try 2014. This is something that I did, just for kicks. Just for kicks and seeing if it's possible. I knew, like, in my heart and mathematically speaking, that it is possible. But what I did here will, like I said, just rock your socks off. Let's just see if I can open it up in a newer version. It should be parametric splines. Yes, there you go. This is, believe it or not, a shape defined entirely by expressions. Entirely by expressions. Oh, by the way, if you want to see how it looks, don't fall off your chairs. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, that's it. Yes, I am serious. Well, we can also do some other things. As you can see, we can do a heart shape, or basically any other drawing. Heart is actually quite easy because it's just sine and cosine functions bounded together. Pretty simple. Like this. We can do, oh yeah, the Cupid. Oh, the Cupid is as complicated as the duck. You can't really tell the difference. They are quite similar. This is the Cupid. Sorry. Yeah. I know this looks complex, but these are just coefficients of a... I'm not sure how it's called in English, sorry. You'll figure it out on math classes or whatever. So yeah, let's take a look at the Cupid. I should be playing a love song theme right now. So there we go. Oh, and this, of course, this. This had to be done at some point. Oh yeah. Anybody recognize this? Oh, come on, there should be... Oh yeah, the eyes, of course. And last but not least, the way I remember this one is release all the farts. See it? See it yet? So yeah, basically any curve can be programmed, but as you can see, it takes a lot of effort to do it, and it's just an exercise of tenacity, if you ask me. So it has no point in it, rather than art being art for art's sake. So yeah, let's just leave it. Anyway, let me just take a look at some other questions that we have here. Can I turn? Yes. Can you do bounce back with this expression? Alan, I'm not sure what you mean. Yeah, How about some bounce? Yeah. Is it like Cinema 4D range mapper? Yeah, more or less. Yes, it's exactly how the more or less exactly. It is the same idea that there is behind range mapper. Although I really don't like range mapper in Cinema 4D. It just it's confusing because it names things the way it likes it and not the way that makes sense to me at a given situation. So, but yeah, the idea is the same. I wanted to do pop up book with linear and couldn't do bounce back. Still doesn't explain much. If you have two keyframes in position, you can use loop out ping pong. Yes, that's true. Could you put the code somewhere so we can learn from it? You want the code for the thing that I have just deleted? That will be difficult, but we can just do it again very quickly. And I'm gonna post it here in the chat. I'm not really sure if this will stay permanent on the channel or not, because I haven't done a lot of those live sessions on YouTube. Sorry. You can let me know that I'm a total ass and I should know this, but I don't. So just educate me, guys. So we've got this and this, and let's just create a new solid. It's gonna be the same size, so like this, and we are going to rotate it 90 degrees, and let's say 0, duplicate it, move to 100. Okay, we're gonna create a new solid, same size. Okay, we're gonna make it 3D, rotate it, and we're gonna rotate it on the X and move it to 0, duplicate it, move it to 100. And this, by the way, is the perfect proof that doing anything in this composition window is bad practice. Okay, not totally bad, but just showing that if you know what you are doing and you have a plan and you have a reason for every click and every value you type in there, you don't really have to look at this window to be able to design whatever you want. Okay, so this is our uni box, and we're going to do the same thing once more. I'm gonna put the uni box in here. Oops, sorry, not here. Over here, 3D collapse. We're gonna create a light so that we can see what's going on. I'm gonna parent the light using the shift key to the unibox and unparent it, and also move it over here to a little bit up and a little bit to the left of the cube. And we are going to create 3D point, and a slider. I just want to note here that if you're using a collapsed layer, if you put any effects on the collapsed layer, anything that causes this effects thing to show up, because you'll notice that if I delete them, this effects disappears totally. So if you put anything that makes this show up, you may end up in a situation where you have a faulty 3D obscuring thing. Many people say that that's a bug of After Effects, but if you're clever and you know that this thing will happen, it works to your advantage. So for me, it's a feature rather than a bug. Although, if it's a feature, I would rather have like a switch or something that I can turn it on and off. But still, I've used it as a feature so many times that I can't even count. Okay, so again, orientation offset. Okay, and the next one will be position offset. And this one will be animation time in seconds. And let's see if I can type it in at the first attempt. So like this and like this. Orientation, let's go. Ease, because we already know that's going to be it. Time, and it's going to be time based on endpoint, and endpoint plus whatever length of the animation, so this, and it should be from value plus whatever the offset is to what? To value. Okay, no errors here, that's kind of cool. And we're gonna do the same with the position. So ease from time endpoint, and then it's gonna be endpoint plus the time it takes for the animation to complete, and we're going to start at whatever the final value is plus the offset, and end up at the final value. And that is it. Let's just zero out all of those parameters and set the value of animation to, let's say, 5 seconds, and let's see, nothing happens right now. Cool. So let's just do some offset on those orientation parameters. Cool, seems to work. And the last thing would be moving it back, even further back. Yes, and that's it. Quite cool. Okay, Myotic says that bounce is oh, okay. So bouncing like this cube going towards us and bouncing a couple of times. Yes, it can do that, but that is not achieved with a simple linear expression. That involves a little bit more of the math and sine waves and exponential growth and stuff like that. So I don't want to get into that today, but it is something that we can do later on. But you can just Google it on your own. Just Google for bounce expression, I'm guessing. Sorry, I thought it seems obvious, but just do that. Or overshoot, terms like that, because that's how it's called professionally when you've got this like springy motion. And I remember I was doing my own easing expressions where when Flash was the most hyped thing, like 15 years ago or something. And I know that after I got my internet access, back in like 2001 or 2000, seriously, yeah, just remember I'm in Poland, okay? I found out that there are libraries that do that, and I already written my own. I was so depressed, but then again, I was so happy that I figured it out on my own. Yay! So just, long story short, look for easing equations. Okay, no matter what language, just go there, and if you want to learn expressions, learn about JavaScript programming. You don't really have to go too deep into it to understand what's basically going on. And even if the equations you'll find, or even ready to use code you'll find, is not going to be totally compatible with After Effects, and I guarantee it won't be, you will be able to figure out how to do it. And yeah, with that, I'm just gonna look at some other questions over here, and that will be it for today. Mm-hmm. Drawing stuff. What I meant is the drawing stuff with the expression. You could make it out point without the animation time. Yeah, Yashik is right. I could stop it at the out point of the layer, but if I would stop it at the out point of the layer would be gone, right? So doesn't really make much sense to animate something to its final position, and when it reaches this position, you just disable the layer and you can't see the layer anymore. So, like, totally. Oh yeah, and well, you can't bounce back from the out point because the out point is the out point. Out point is the death of the layer. You don't see it anymore. So I can bounce back as many times as I like. You won't be able to see it. Ha! In your face. Uh, okay, guys. Yashik, you're missing the point. Even if I do loop out or whatever you want, out point of the layer means the layer is dead and it's no longer on the screen. Huh? Huh? Okay? There you go. Oh, the opacity and dots loop. I totally forgot about it. Good point. Uh, yes, this is another question that I got on the group, but in order to do that, just let me grab a quick break and we'll be right back to it. Okay? So, where's my super secret administration panel? Oh, here it is. Okay. I will be right back with you and we'll do some other example with linear and index keyword. Hey, guess who's back? Okay, so let me just look at the questions again. Pre-compose, extend the layer. Yeah. Can you change layers parent without splitting it? Joel, very good question. Yes, we can do that. Uh, However, you know what? Remind me if you are not a fan on Facebook, uh, just go here. It's facebook.com/Maltanen. There we go. And if you go there, yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Arthur. Thank you very freaking much. Uh, I don't know why this happens. Anyway, Joel, just go here uh, to Multanen. Uh, it's this page, and whenever I will announce that, yeah, let's do a live session again, then just suggest that back. Okay, I'm gonna do a live session about that, but it's too wide of a topic and a little bit complicated, so let's just not get into that today. Although I know there is a script, if I recall, on AE scripts called Good Parents or something in that area uh, that does that. However, I think it's a pretty good subject to discuss and to learn how to do on your own. If you often need to change parents of your layers, uh, then I would suggest getting the script, of course. Oh, by the way, I need to create like a affiliate link so I can get some bucks from recommending it, which I don't at this point, but I maybe will. Uh, yeah, so there is a script that does that, but yeah, knowing how to do it on your own would be a very uh, good thing. It's a pretty cool technique. So, yes, we will discuss it later, but not today. So, with that said, let's just do those dots. Uh, uh, Com64. I was curious about the code to draw with the code. Yeah, you have to look up what is quadratic equations. Yes, you have to look up quadratic equations and calculating the coefficients of those. And if you do that, then you can write all that code that you just saw. So yeah, it was just a proof of concept that I can create any sort of curve that I like uh, with code in After Effects, but it is in no means efficient. Okay, it's not efficient. It's complicated. It's hard to write. I just did it as a proof of concept, just like the game we did like what 2 weeks ago. Makes no freaking sense, but yeah, it's doable. We can do a game in After Effects. There we go. If you haven't seen it, just look it up. And yeah, we did River Ride from like 1980s. Super cool. Okay, so the dots. The question was, how can one have multiple dots fade in and fade out in a loop in your composition? So let's just go ahead and do that. I'm going to delete all of that and I'm gonna create a new solid. Let's make it a small solid, like 50 by 50, and we are going to create a circle on it. And by the way, if you're thinking right now of going here, choosing the ellipse tool, and drawing a circle, you are a disgrace. I'm sorry, but you are. That's not how you do it. Okay? I know the only way to draw a perfect masked shape would be to double click it, having the layer selected. It should create a very, a perfect circle, but just no. Okay? No. Masks are evil, shape layers are evil. You don't do that. Just to be clear, they're not evil on their own, like intrinsically, they're not evil, but they are evil because they're being used in all the wrong places, and I can't stress that enough. Let's just leave it at that, and we are going to use a circle effect. And since our layer is 50 by 50, this means that the radius should be half that distance, so it should be 25, and that should give us a perfect circle as it did. Okay, so we have that, and We don't care about the opacity of the circle itself, we just care about the opacity of the layer. Although the method I'm going to show you in a minute will, can apply to whatever. So, in order to do that, we need to figure out what modulus function is. I'm just thinking out loud, and it sort of makes. Okay, let's just do the modulus once again. I believe we did that before, but just in case, the modulus, I think that's how you call it in English, is the remainder of division. Okay, so if you've got 3 modulus, that's how you write it, modulus 10, how many tens are in 3? 0. What is left? Well, that's just 3. If you've got 5 modulus 10, then you've got 5. What is 7 modulus 10? Well, then there's just 7. What is 10 modulus 10? Okay, so how many tens are in a 10? Well, exactly 1. What is left over? Nothing, so 0. But if you have 13 modulus 10, how many tens are in 13? Exactly 1. What is left over? 3. Okay, so in other words, this will loop back after the value that you have on this hand side will exceed this hand side. Okay, so if this value increases and it reaches over this 10, it will sort of loop back. So you've got this line that goes on forever, and this line can be time, for example, and you've got a time modulus, let's say 10, right? So you've got 0, you've got 10, 20, 30, and whatever, and you do like this value. So it's going to be exactly this value, 3. You do this value, it's going to be 7. You do this value, which is 13, it's going to say, okay, so how much over it is over 10? It's over 3, right? 1, 2, 3. So it's going to give you 3 as the result. So it sort of loops back to this point and goes on, and then moves back and goes on and moves back and goes on, and so on and so forth and so on and so forth. So with that in mind, having this modulus function, we can do all sorts of cool we can do all sorts of cool stuff with it. So in order to make something cool, we can just use maybe the linear expression, and as we do that, we should be able, sorry, I'll just do this. So in order to be able to do that with modulus, I'm thinking we should be able to take the time that has elapsed so far and reach like half point and go from 0 to 100 opacity here, and then take the other half and go from 100 to 0, and then when it reaches the entirety of the animation, just loop back and just repeat that cycle. Of course, we can use loop out duration, loop in duration, as someone pointed out in the comments, but no, that's just child's play. Okay, we don't want to do that. So if we that's that. If we do minus, yeah, that should work. Okay. We're gonna write an expression. Surprise, surprise. Okay. Let's say that we want to have a slider that tells us how long the cycle should last. Let's just say, yeah, 1 second. That's gonna be it. And we're gonna say SLD for the slider. Slider equals whatever the slider equals, right? So this. And then we are going to say animation in is, oh, sorry, no. I usually create the variable called the time whenever I want to have the time divided by something or modulus something or do any sort of manipulation on the time. Right? I usually create this variable the time that has been pre-calculated in order to achieve a certain goal. So in this case, I'm going to say the time equals time modulus whatever the entire duration of the animation is, so SLD. And then I'm gonna say yeah, animation in equals linear the time, and it goes from 0 to SLD divided by half. So you know, at the half point, it has to go from 0 to 100 in the half of the time distance, and then from 100 to 0 from the other half, right? So with that in mind, we've got linear starting at the time, which starts at 0 and goes to halfway. Oh, by the way, dividing by 2 is a little bit more expensive on the CPU than multiplying by 0.5. Okay, just a simple tidbit there. And we want to go from 0 to 100. That's it. And then we want to have animation out, which is linear, again, the time, which goes from SLD multiplied by 0.2 to SLD, to our slider basically, and want to go from 100 to 0. And it should be, I'm sorry, but I have been using this today, probably a little bit too much, and my inner geek tells me do not use if statements, just create a very beautiful linear expression. But due to this, I can't, so I am going to use if statements. And by the way, you'll be able to learn about the if statements, so-called conditional statements in programming in general. So the AEEN tells me how far in of the animation I'm in, and the A out tells me how much of the out animation I'm in. Okay, and it just converts that value from 0 to 100 or 100 to 0. That's it. It bugs me. Just let me think a little bit. Okay, I got this and I got this. If I multiply this, yeah, theoretically, will this work? animation in multiplied by animation out and just divided by 100. Let's just see. Okay, well, you have just experienced George. Okay, George is my evil, evil mastermind, freaking genius alter ego, and he's the one spitting out all the expressions. When I look at them a day, a week, a month from now, I'm just gonna say, what the hell is this? I don't get it. How is it? Oh, okay, that's clever. And like, I'm learning from myself all the time. But okay, if this is too a little bit too complex, I can imagine it can be. Uh, you know what? Let's just see if it even works because it does seem like it worked, but I'm not sure. Let's just say 2 seconds. So it should be 0 at 0 seconds and 0 at 2 seconds, as it is, and 100% in 1 second. It is, and 3 seconds. It is. Okay. That is pretty sweet. That is pretty sweet. I mean, that is pretty sweet. There we go. But if you want to do it in a more quote unquote traditional way, we can use an if statement. So if the time is less than half the slider, SLD divided by 2 or multiplied by 0.5, then the result should be AN. In any other case, it should be A out. And that should also give us the same result, more or less. Yes, and it does. Let's say meiotic. Hello, George. Yeah. Uh, there can be only one, and its name is circle. Yes, Arthur. Exactly. So, meiotic. I hope that explains it. Uh, you could do like index on it as well. So each copy is a little bit different. Let's just do that, and that'll be it. Okay. So we're gonna move this circle over here, and we're gonna just open up the position and say that position is going to be whatever the position is. So value plus index multiplied by the width plus, let's say, 20 pixels. Okay, this is very 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 poor code because you should never have values like this anywhere in your code that are arbitrary. You should have them in sliders, but let's just leave it like that. Each copy should be moved, and it seems that it's working. Oh, not exactly, because it's just moving exactly the distance of the circle. This width plus 20 should be in parentheses. Okay, there you go. And yeah, now it works. But as you can see, every single dot blinks at the same time. So since we are using this modulus function, we can add something to the time. Okay, we can add something here. So we got time modulus the slider, but we can say time plus index, for example, or any other randomized value. It's up to you, and have that. So index, for those of you who don't know, is this value. It's the number of the layer on the layer stack. Okay, so every layer knows its own number on the stack. So I'm just getting current time and I'm adding the index to it. and that should have those dots. Yeah, since the cycle is 2 seconds and we're adding just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, blah 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 to the index, it just works. It's symmetrical, okay? But if we just take the slider control and make it like 1.8 or something, or 1.75, this should be a little bit different. Yeah, it is a little bit different, but not so much. We could maybe, oh, instead of having index, because when you work in time, in expressions, you always work in seconds. So we can, instead of seconds, work in frames, and that should give us some interesting results. So this slider, okay, let's just call it cycle length in seconds, and let's say, yeah, 2 seconds, and then we're going to create another slider which is going to be time offset in frames, okay, frames, and we are going to change our expression, and that will be it for tonight. So let's just say FO for frame offset, and we are going to say that frame offset is whatever this slider is, okay, but if we are going to add it or subtract it from the time, it will still be in frames. So we're going to say frame offset equals time to frames, frame offset, multiplied by index. And then we're going to add it over here. And this should theoretically give us some cool results. Frame offset, let's say 5 frames. No. That's strange. Let's see. Time to frames and that. Okay, time to frames. I usually use my own function, not this, but I didn't want to confuse you guys. So time to frames. Let's take this. This is frames multiplied by this comp frame duration. Although I don't need the parentheses, this makes sense to me, and multiply it by that, and it should be just fine. Yeah, see, like my own function works better. Dun dun dun. And this should give us this nice, oh yeah, that's sweet. Okay, so Meiotic, yeah, thinks he's understanding this enormous piece of uncoordinated junk. So I'm happy for you. And by the way, this session is sponsored by Meiotic. So there you go. You can thank him for getting me to do this. So pay your respects. And subscribe to my channel, of course. You know how the deal works. And with that, I am going to leave you for now, but I will be back for sure, unless there's some questions that need to be answered in respect to what we've done today. I will be here for a couple more minutes, just reading your feedback on the live chat, and if there's nothing to address, then we'll call it a day or call it a night, really. So, okay, yes, each layer refers to its own slide. Oh, that's true. Paul, Paul has a cool point right here. Each layer refers to its own slider. This is something I never do. I usually create like a null layer with all the sliders. So yeah, let's just do that to complete this lesson. I know how I could have missed it. Thanks, Paul. So a new null layer called settings, and on that null layer I'm gonna have those two sliders. I'm just gonna get those from here. I'm gonna get an error, blah blah. I'm gonna paste them here, and over here I'm gonna say and while we're at it, yeah, let's just create a new slider and let's call this distance, and it's not gonna be plus 20 but plus distance. Okay, I wanted to be lazy by you, but you didn't let me. Okay, so instead of effect da 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 da, we're gonna say this comp dot layer called settings dot effect blah 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 blah, and that's gonna work. And like this. Okay, so now it is proper thing. I can change the distance between layers, that's fine, and I can change the frame offset, let's call it 2 frames, very cool. We can change the length of the animation to be like 1 second, very cool. And now everything works as intended. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Oh, Joel, your questions, as always, are demanding the answer. The question is, can I switch between linear and ease expressions? Yes, of course I can. There is a expression control that is called a checkbox, and you can check the state of that checkbox, either it's on or off, and depending on the state of the checkbox, you can choose the linear expression or the ease expression, and that's it. Pretty much all there is to it. So again, with that, thank you very much, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm guessing I'm gonna see you next time. Please subscribe to the channel and go to Facebook and to this fan page of mine, and you just to stay up to date when I will be doing those live sessions, and post your ideas here so that we can do some interesting stuff, as we always try to do, and as I try to answer your questions live with no preparation. That is always the most valuable, if you ask me. So, once again, my name is Maltanen. It was great seeing you and doing this live session. Thank you very much for being here. See you next time. Happy After Effecting. Oh, and sorry for the low quality. I will figure it out later.